I'd like to touch on one more thing, and we're sort of branching out a little bit here, but it is another Japanese word that's gaining popularity, and you mentioned it, and it's actually something you said inspires you with your calligraphy, and it's wabi-sabi. So how would you define wabi-sabi, and how does it inspire you as an artist?
It's a big word, as you know.
Sorry, yeah, it's a bit.
So I could really say, from my point of view, as an artist and calligrapher / teacher, right? So I would define wabi-sabi definitely the beauty of imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete things. And I feel the central awareness of these elements is wabi-sabi too. And it is the nucleus of Japanese aesthetics in all directions, right? And wabi-sabi helps you to understand a deeper sense of the natural cycle of our lives. I mean, our own lives, and including death.
Mm.
And it leads us to then appreciate, let's say, every moment of life and every here and now.
Mm.
Does it make sense?
It does make sense. And there's a story behind this for me. It's the only word my father-in-law taught me.
Tell me.
Yeah, so he's actually he's a potter. He makes a matcha jawan. So
great.
So he's quite good at what he does.
Wabi-sabi.
Yeah, so he actually built a anagama as like a passion project. I mean, he's already retired, but he did this about 15 years ago. And, you know, he had to buy land and hire machinery and build the anagama. And it was a big project, and he had to get the community involved. And it...
Wow, that's good. Sounds great.
Yeah, so he's really dedicated to he makes shinoyaki, which is quite a beautiful form of pottery. And they had to do it at a certain time of year as well. They could only do it in autumn or spring when the temperature was right. So the first 5 failed. All the pieces were blistered and broken. Then 6 months later, they tried again, and it failed again. And I was like, oh no, like this is just painful, like all this effort. And then they tried again in spring or autumn, I can't remember. And they had this success, and they had really good pieces and pieces they could gift and sell. And so I was in the factory one day, and he was boxing these matcha jawan, these tea ceremony cups. And I was looking at 2 of them, and one was this kind of like the perfect catalog matcha jawan. It was well balanced, it was nicely curved. And this other one was slightly wonky and off.
Okay, you can see that, right?
But it drew my eye. I kept looking back to the one that was slightly off. And he said something like, I can't remember, he's like, Dochu ureru no, or something like in his tonoben, like, which one do you think will sell more? And so he speaks with such an aggressive tone. I'm like, oh. And I was thinking, well, it should be the opposite of what I think. And I was thinking, well, all the catalogs have the beautiful, well-shaped ones. So I was thinking it should be the opposite. But then at the last minute, I said, no, man, it would be the one that looks like a catalog. And so I said, oh, it must be this this perfect looking one. And he's gone, chigao. And he just
Ah,
pointed and said, wabi-sabi, wabi-sabi. And he walked off. And I knew it was significant. I thought, wow, he's never taught me anything. This is something important. But of course, he didn't explain it to me. And then I asked my wife, and she's like, too hard to explain. And then I got online.
You hear that everybody.
Yeah.
No, this is really like a deep philosophy.
Yeah.
Totally.
It took me a long time to understand. It's like in the West, people think it's an adjective, but it's actually a noun. And it goes back to this idea of it's something you experience, you feel it from the object.
Totally, yeah.
And I had this idea, it's kind of tied into the natural elements of, in this case, clay. So there's, it's tied into nature with earth, water, fire.
Yeah.
And he did produce it, but he really had no control of what he was producing. So people think you can make a wabi-sabi table or you can make a wabi-sabi cup or something, but you can't. So there is this randomness or this natural process.
Totally. Yeah.
And it took me like 20 years to find that out. 15 years later, I found that out.